Hello, thanks for being in a new video. This time I have unboxing the Motorola Moto G55. Let's get started. This device has had an introductory price of 4,999 pesos. On screen you see the reference price in dollars to give you an idea, although interestingly at present its price is even lower. 4,499 pesos to be exact. So it is positioned in the lower mid-range as a serious contender, as it will offer us very good specifications. Like most Motorola devices recently, let's unbox it to explore. The first thing we see is the device itself. True to Motorola style, it comes with the case on, giving us an immediate idea of its look with the accessory. Personally, I like to remove the case to appreciate the original design. It's actually more appealing, it's matte and has a soft touch. Since this back cover is crafted from synthetic leather, it feels much nicer and more pleasant to the touch without this case. However, it's obviously appreciated that they include this level of protection, which will be quite handy for everyday use. Let's go ahead and remove this decal and proceed. What do you think if we power on the device while we check what else is included in the box? We will find some quick information. As you can see, there is a small startup guide, papers that come with it, and also here, we are going to find the tool for the SIM card. Next, we will come across the charger and the cable. In this instance, it's not a very modern charger, so it still features USB-A on one end. However, the included cable will, of course, have USB-C on the other end to connect to the cell phone. The charger, as you can see, is 33 watts. However, this does not necessarily mean that the cell phone directly supports 33 watts. In numerous instances, Motorola includes a charger that is slightly more powerful than what the phone can handle, and I'll confirm that shortly. So, that's what's inside the box. I appreciate that it comes with both a case and a charger, which is definitely a positive aspect in the smartphone industry, where many manufacturers are including fewer and fewer accessories. Now, let's set this aside and delve into the specifications of this phone. I've already got the device set up here, so let's get to know its specs real quick. It has a thickness of 8.9 mm and weighs 182 grams, this in the synthetic leather edition, as there is another edition that is plastic a little bit lighter. It has the IP54 level of water resistance, which means that it resists splashes. The design does not disappoint for a device of this price. I think it has relatively thin bezels, and the fact that it is water resistant means it is waterproof. Splashes makes it can get to stand out. The screen has a diagonal of 6.5 inches, offers us LCD technology, full HD plus resolution, and comes with 120C in its refresh rate. It is also protected with Gorilla Glass 3. In this sense, it does not surprise too much. Although in the price range is the usual and expected, it would be a surprise to see an AMOLED screen in this price range. So as I say, in this case, it stays with the average. The presence of an LCD screen means that the viewing angles might not be as appealing. You'll notice a significant loss of brightness when viewing the device from the side. However, in all honesty, it's not extremely problematic in that regard. You may also observe noticeable differences compared to OLED screens in terms of color representation. While this screen has good saturation, it's particularly the yellow color that sometimes presents challenges in being accurately represented on LCD screens. However, believe me, we are in front of a good LCD screen. This device stands out a lot in audio, as it has headphone jack, main speaker at the bottom, and secondary speaker in the earpiece area for calls. So it does have stereo sound, which in the price range is not so common, but it is also a pretty powerful sound, so I think it is definitely a plus point. The front camera boasts a resolution of 16 megapixels, featuring an f2.4 aperture. However, the photos don't actually come out as 16 megapixels by default. Instead, they are 4 megapixels when in automatic mode. If you prefer them to be 16 megapixels, you must navigate to the settings. There you'll find an option labeled front camera resolution. In this case, you can adjust it to high, as it is originally set with pixel merging. This setting is designed to provide improved lighting treatment in your photos. However, if you want better detail, you can select high quality. As you realize, before taking the picture, the preview is still not so optimized. But after taking the picture, we are going to find a better light balance. As I tell you, the pixel blending helps the light treatment. However, the level of detail falls a bit short. If you want to have a sharper image, it is advisable to disable pixel blending. I think the front camera is compliant, average, but the back is more appealing. It has a 50 megapixel main camera, with an f1.8 aperture and an 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera with an f2.2 aperture. The positive is the ultra-wide camera has autofocus, serving as a high-resolution macro camera. I like that Motorola doesn't add marketing cameras but maximizes the integrated ones. So, let's review the results. In this case, as we've seen on other recent Motorola devices, the photos look a bit more saturated than they should. If you like saturated photos, you're going to like the results. Personally, I'd like slightly less saturation, but the ultra-wide camera looks good. The main camera also looks good quality. For the price range, I think it performs perfectly well. The 2x zoom still maintains very good quality. In this respect, I believe it effectively utilizes the built-in sensor for photography, and the maximum zoom is 8x, which I find to be quite honest. It does lose a little bit of dynamic range, but I emphasize that it is honest because 8x is the maximum zoom where we could still consider the quality to be good. However, when it comes to portrait photography, it doesn't appear to be as advanced. For starters, it doesn't have as good detection and also doesn't allow us to have a more professional telephoto perspective. But I think that in the price range, I insist that it meets a good quality of cameras. For video recording, we must consider that it does not allow us to record in 4K. Simply full HD at 60 frames per second with the main camera, but if you want to record with the ultra-wide camera, you only have 30 frames per second available. For the front camera, it's the same. This device comes with Android 14. We might want Android 15, but for mid-range, it's understandable it doesn't have the latest version. Given Motorola's limited updates, we'd prefer Android 15 out of the box. Remember that it has several applications added as part of the Motorola experience that every time adds better things, unlike past generations where we saw a very simple software. The battery has a capacity of 5,000 mAh and supports 33 watts, charging with charger included in the box. And no surprises there either, it's a very traditional battery capacity. We will have to test it specifically to see how it behaves in conjunction with the processor. One very good thing is that it comes with 8 GB of RAM. In fact, it also has something called RAM Boost, which is virtual RAM, where you could extend up to an additional 8 GB. Personally, I do not like to use virtual RAM. In fact, in many devices it does not work. But in this case, as I say, having good physical RAM capacity, we will not rely so much on virtual RAM. Here is something. Excellent, because in this price range, we typically see only 6 GB of RAM, or some even dare to put just 4. So we have a good capacity to open many applications and also decent storage with 256 GB. In this case, I have very few things installed and it already shows 24 GB used. However, I emphasize that the total storage amount is quite good, so you will not face problems in that aspect. And finally, the processor is the MediaTek Dimensity 7025, a somewhat lesser known processor. Let's check the benchmarks for a point of reference. As you can see in Geekbench, with a single core, it gave us 1002 points, and in multi-core, it scored 2190. These numbers are similar to the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 or Helio G99 from MediaTek, or slightly higher than Samsung's Exynos 1280. For the price, it's a decent processor, though not a standout in its price range. But I believe it defends itself well. In Antutu, it scored 4,76,300 points. Naturally, in the video review, we will demonstrate additional tests to evaluate the actual performance of different applications, especially when editing videos and during gaming sessions. For now, we have reached the conclusion of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and soon we will present the complete video review. See you in the next